T. It's in the name.
Welcome into the Helping Healing Humor with Ben and Travis podcast. On today's episode, let me just go ahead and start by saying congratulations to the Indiana Hoosiers and good luck going forward. We're going to talk a little bit about the game, maybe, but more about the trip out to the Rose Bowl. Checking off a bucket list of mine for sure. We'll talk a little bit about that after this important message about the Joyrider.
Hey friends, we've got something really special to share with you today, a brand new children's book that's all about faith, family, and finding joy in the middle of life's challenges. It's called The Adventures of Ben and Travis and the Joyrider. This heartwarming story follows a big brother in a wheelchair who uses his creativity, courage, and a whole lot of love to help his little brother and cousin overcome life's obstacles. Together they show us that joy isn't about what you have, it's about how you choose to face the ups and downs of life. This book is full of fun, adventure, and hope. It's perfect for bedtime stories, Sunday school libraries, or as a meaningful gift for the kids in your life. Plus, it's a great way to start conversations with your family about resilience, compassion, and faith. Pre-orders are open now, and when you order early, you'll be one of the first to get your hands on this inspiring story. Just head over to benandtravis.com/books. That's benandtravis.com/books and pre-order your copy today. Give your kids a story that will make them smile, laugh, and believe in the power of joy.
I'm Travis Creasy, the pulpit minister at Westgate Church of Christ in Dothan, Alabama. That over there is my compadre, my partner in crime, part of the infamous, I don't know about dynamic, but infamous duo, Ben Hayes, preacher at Highland Park, counselor at Mars Hill Bible School, 3-chord counseling, and just all-American dad, all pro over there.
I don't know about that, but it is good to be home. And tomorrow we start back to school, so it's kind of going to get crazy again. But it's been a good break and got to enjoy a little bit of that break with you guys, including the guy up above me there, Will Myhan. So how you doing, Will?
Man, I'm good. I'm feeling refreshed. More refreshed than I was this past weekend, but things are going good. I'm kind of like you. It is back into the swing of things full force. I've got dentist appointment with one kid first thing in the morning, doctor's appointment with the second kid right after that, and then go teach at Mars Hill after that with the second child in tow with me. So the daycare of the grandparents decided to take their own vacation. So lost out on the free babysitting. So hope you're having fun, Mom and Dad. Thanks.
Yeah.
Of course, Will is the youth minister there at Highland Park. Also works with Walk for Water and drives us around Los Angeles, California last week and took turns. I kind of, I don't know, I guess it depends on what part of the trip we were in. Got to fly out there, and I'm sure there were positives to that, like getting home, 12 hours or so earlier than you guys did. But I'm sure there was some things I missed out on as you guys drove out and drove back. But nonetheless, a trip that won't be forgotten anytime soon, Lord willing. But you get those opportunities, and it's interesting because I know I was with Will on my first trip back to Bryant-Denny a few years ago after, I think a sign said 86 chemotherapy treatments or whatever, battling leukemia. And of course, Ben and I have been all over these United States of America and got a couple of bucket lists. Went to Army Navy a few years ago. That's one for any big college football fan. And of course, the granddaddy of all, the Rose Bowl, is right up there with it. And, even above a national championship game, which is totally on the docket at some point. But man, it's hard to beat the Rose Bowl in my mind as far as just an experience.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I've always kind of wanted to do just because it's been something you've wanted to do. I've always thought the Rose Bowl was a cool event. And so just when that opportunity came up, it was kind of like, man, I'm not going to let you guys go have all the fun without me. So I was going to jump in on it. But I think it was really Will's wife, Lindsay, that kind of really pushed us over the edge. I mean, Will had been talking about it. He's like, man, if we win this Oklahoma game, we got to ride out there. And then all of a sudden I'm getting texts from Lindsay like, y'all serious about this? So she kind of got me and Travis rolling to sort of get that as a Christmas or birthday present for Will. So it was pretty cool.
Yeah, it's definitely the pageantry of it. I mean, you could definitely see that. I think in my mind, I've been to much better run sporting events.
Oh,
I think,
yeah.
I think that's the consensus among the whole crew that went, and probably for those listening, if you've ever been to a Rose Bowl, if it was anything like this year, there's just a lot, maybe organizationally.
Just add rain. Like you can tell it never rains in Southern California because they were like, what do we do with this wet stuff?
I think it's just that side of it was, and Lindsay even mentioned this to me also. She was like, you went to the Masters and the Rose Bowl, like these two huge events. And you go, I know Andrew mentioned in the car, the Masters several times, how everything is just perfectly run. It's perfectly put together. Everyone knows exactly what to do, and there's no questions. And then you get to the Rose Bowl, and it was just complete chaos, and they run out of souvenir cups halfway through the first quarter, And so I think there were those things that you look at and go, oh, there's something left to be desired there. But then you get in there, the B-52 flies over, which was just unbelievable. And you start to see, even getting demolished by the opponent, you really do kind of see the historical just atmosphere of what's there, what's been there before, what will continue to be there, and the pageantry of it all. It was pretty cool. We got to see a few floats that night. The parade, I went back and looked at some of it, and the parade was pretty terrible because I saw where people weren't even on the floats. The floats were just by themselves. But to see all those roses, all of that, I mean, it
would have
was
been cool.
Really neat. So,
I hate we missed that part of it, but I mean, we kind of alluded to the drive already, but we left my driveway at 6:30 a.m. on Tuesday morning and pulled into LA the next morning at 9 a.m. I think was about the time we came into town. We visited some stuff, did some things, picked up Travis, went and ate, went to the Rose Bowl to look at the stadium that night, got in bed at like 10 o'clock. And I think we were just all kind of under the consensus getting up at 4 or 5 a.m. to try to hit a parade was probably not the best thing because we were going to drop Travis off after the game and hit the road for another 2 days. Or a day and, 27 hours. So it just didn't seem like good planning to stay up or to get up.
Especially with the majority of the rain happening right in the middle of the parade time. Had it sunnier
in the game. Yeah.
The crazy thing is like how much went like, and I told people when I got back home, of course I didn't have the drive, but just how much stuff you packed in, and really the rain was not great. The game was not great, at least for us. But like so much else was perfect. Like to pack in the things we wanted to see and do was actually really good. Even though we got down there and they were like completely overmatched in the parking, and we cut it close. We still got in the house right before kickoff to kind of experience it. But just talk a little bit about the drive out first. Some of the things that you saw. I know you went by the Cadillac Ranch and all that stuff.
Yeah, Will, had kind of been out that way a little bit more than us. So it's always entertaining to go with Will or Andrew places because they've already got things in mind that they want to do and that we can do. And so we were talking about these Cadillacs that are stuck in the ground. And, we've all seen them, I'm sure, online. You guys have. And but, of course, we're going through Amarillo, which is where these are, in the middle of the night. So it's great to see things under the starlight, but it made some pretty incredible pictures.
Yeah.
And especially the one of Will. I went back and looked at that one today, and the stars up above you. It looks pretty incredible.
Classic pictures.
It was interesting. One of the things I thought was cool about the drive was the sunrises and the sunsets were a whole lot longer going.
Oh
You
yeah.
know,
So we're going into it.
yeah, we're driving into them, which was really, really neat to just see. I'm a sucker for landscapes, and I think that Arizona, New Mexico is just beautiful, and I think it's completely different than here. And I think for the majority of everybody that I don't know how far you had been out west, Ben, but I know driving wise, Andrew and Justin had never been past Dallas. And so once we got out past Oklahoma City on 40, I mean, it was new territory for them, completely. And so there was just, I think there's camaraderie built when you're in a car for 27 hours. There was making fun of each other. There were spiritual conversations. There was maybe some restless sleep, if that's what you could call it. I love that we say that it was restful. It really, to me, and I don't know how you felt, Ben, is it didn't seem as long as what I necessarily thought it was. Like we were in Albuquerque before I knew it.
Yeah.
And
it's nice when you got drivers to rotate. I mean, that's the thing. Yeah. It was, we drive 6-hour shifts or so. I don't think any of us drove really more. Well, Will did because he kind of drove that last shift going into LA and he had driven the first one. But I think all of us kind of split about 6 hours or so, all going out there. And then coming back, it was pretty similar to that. So, it didn't feel like you were just overworked. It was still just tiring riding. But, getting this, I'm like you, I'm a sucker for landscapes. I love sunrises, sunsets. I love, mountains and different terrain. I just thought it was interesting. We were talking about that. Like we saw every terrain there is, we saw the stuff that you see here in Muscle Shoals in Tennessee, the trees and the rivers and all that kind of stuff. And then you get into the kind of the farmlands and the areas of Arkansas where there's just, places to duck hunt, basically just flat landscape. Then you've got the buttes and the cactus and the tumbleweeds and stuff like that out in Oklahoma and Texas and Arizona. And you start getting into some of the mountains. And then right before we got to LA, there were snow-capped mountains. Yeah. So it was like and then we saw the ocean. So it was like you saw just about every landscape that you could see, desert to ocean, and I thought that was pretty cool.
We have to thank Justin Brother for keeping us alive because what we tried to do was like Justin and I were a tag team and then Ben and Andrew were a tag team. And so when I was driving, Justin was the passenger. When Justin was driving, I was the passenger. But what we ended up doing was giving Justin probably the worst of it all, which was just the desert.
Middle of the night in the desert.
And so I know there were several times where he was the only person awake in the car because I was asleep in the passenger side. And Ben and Andrew, they didn't know the world existed, in the back seat back there. So a huge shout out. And Justin actually drove through probably the worst fog and rain that I've
passed.
Yes. Because we went through Joshua Tree National Park, which was really cool. And maybe one of my favorite parts of just sitting out in the middle of the desert for probably 30 minutes at least. And just, we were taking pictures, just listening to what was out there, which was nothing. And then 2 cars showed up, which kind of freaked me out. But, Justin then had to get us out of Joshua Tree back onto Interstate 40. And it was some crazy elevation, rain, fog. So, shout out to him that we're able to record this podcast.
The real MVP.
Yes.
When we get out there, you guys pick me up at LAX, which was adventurous in itself. We get to go eat a meal. Of course, the joke was, it's 4 preachers and an undertaker walk into a bar and grill anyways, and get to relax a little bit. And we go back to the room. Ben is getting ready for bed and comes out, and we're all ready to go to Pasadena. Because I guess it was Will. I don't know whose idea it was. Will was pretty ideas. And, because of the rain, no one was at the Rose Bowl. And so we were able to park right up there next to it, walk up right to the stadium, and take some what turned out to be some amazing pictures of the granddaddy of them all. And probably my favorite trip to the granddaddy of them all. That turned out, of course, that's about a 40-minute drive out from the hotel, but I mean, we were all there to see the Rose Bowl anyways. So that was pretty cool. And one of the members here at Westgate is actually the guy who drives the equipment truck for Alabama. And so it's pretty cool to see his truck sitting out there in front of the Rose Bowl and to take some pictures of it. But loved that opportunity we had to kind of stand there in front of college football lore and take a picture. And of course, the rain, the fog, and the lights on the stadium all lit up, made some pretty good pictures.
And it's a beautiful area. I mean, we were even commenting from the school bus that we were riding on to it from Dodger Stadium. We were, I mean, there's mountains all around. It's basically, I didn't know this till, we got there. It's on a golf course. There's a golf course that pretty much just wraps around the whole stadium and the parking lot and goes out one end a long way. And that's where you guys are sporting the swag that you've got on your head. And mine is back at the office. But, we were able to, timing again, we get there and we're lamenting the loss. And somebody comes out and like, are y'all waiting to get in the store? It doesn't open. But if all y'all are waiting for it, I might can get somebody. And she comes and gets this lady and she comes in and opens it and made bank off of us and all the people who ended up pouring into that store in the first 15 minutes that we were in there. But that was really cool. And I know you guys
will a kickback, I think.
Probably.
Well, I told Lindsay, that's what was so surprising is you would think the granddaddy of them all, the merchandise is going to be great. And it wasn't. Like it
not
was
in the stadium. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like T-shirts from CVS and Walmart, and not to dock CVS and Walmart, but like you assume there would be polos and there would be all this stuff that would not be, it wouldn't have Alabama and Indiana logos on it. Like you would assume, there's going to be just Rose Bowl stuff, and there wasn't really. And they had trucker hats, and that's cool. I'm down with that. But then you put them on and go, man, these are extremely uncomfortable for $55. And the golf shop was all neutral, just Rose Bowl. And so, of course, you have the golf polos, the hats, and it's better merchandise. And so, I told Lindsay kind of walking out, I was like, and I feel like we won just because they hadn't opened it. Yeah. They said this was the first time they've ever opened the pro shop after a football game, whether it be UCLA or the Rose Bowl. So it just
seems ridiculous to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Like, why would you not? Like you would think all that would be so open to everybody.
All their stuff there was just so nice. And it's not branded to the golf course, which I thought was really interesting too, that it's just branded to the Rose Bowl. Yeah. So
yeah, I'm not a Joel Klatt fan whatsoever and very rarely ever agree with him. But the hat I've got on my head right now is one I've seen in like his reels. And I was like, man, I got to get one of those hats. And so, yes, Will, definitely felt like a dub, even though it was far from it. Because I got his hat.
What felt like the actual win, and I kept telling Andrew this, was I'm going to buy a polo. And I pull the shirt off and somebody's left a souvenir cup that they got at the beginning of the game. Yeah. And so I just took it and brought it home. So now I actually have a Rose Bowl cup that doesn't have UCLA on it.
Yeah, I've got the UCLA one.
Yeah. Rub in your face, Will. I'll take that trade-off for all the driving around LA that you gave us. It'd be crazy if somebody would have the idea to go to the Dodger Stadium.
Yeah,
pick up the bus.
If only someone had looked up online to see what the parking was like and figured all that out the night before, then we could have avoided some of this. But
you would think that for preachers and an undertaker, someone would actually want to take charge. Yet it was just like little comments. And it's like, if we do it, we do it. If we don't, we don't. It's just like there was not that one voice that said, here's what we're doing. So
there was the one time where I was like, well, we know where LA Dodger Stadium is. This corporation thing that they wanted.
Yeah.
I had no idea what that was. And but it did end up working out, especially on the drive back out.
Yeah.
The bus, I think, was a really good thing, even though you Braves guys had to see Dodger Stadium twice.
It's all right.
Forget you, Freeman. Forget you.
So, go ahead, Ben.
No, I was going to say one of the things on the way there that we didn't mention before we picked you up was we got to go by a couple of cemeteries, which sounds probably not that great to some people, but
Lindsay makes fun of this every time.
I'm sure. Well, Will and I, both went to Mars Hill. You went to Mars Hill for a little while, but he's, TV Laramore's influenced a lot of people and a lot of churches in our area and all throughout the South and really, I guess, all over the states. And he died out in Los Angeles. I actually was asking Laws about it today, and he said he actually had remarried out there, was living out there, and had broke his hip. And that was what ended up happening. He died while he was out there, living out there. And that's where he was buried. His first wife was buried here, had died here. And then he went out and was remarried. But we got to go see his grave. Corey Ten Boom happened to be buried in the same cemetery as along with the founder of Fender Guitars. So there was some pretty cool things that we saw. Went to another one where Jimmy Stewart and actually a bunch of people were at. Michael Jackson, Jimmy Stewart, James Arnaz, Walt Disney, so a lot of different ones. That was kind of cool to just, be able to go around to where some of those famous people are. That's a big Andrew thing. So he loves to go to those.
We are the only group that went to the Rose Bowl that also visited cemeteries. I can guarantee that.
It's probably
and
true.
Pointed out every cemetery there was on the highway to and from the Rose Bowl as well. Of course, I had to make the joke that people were dying to get in there.
Of course. I think I made it before you got in the car with us.
Yeah, contractually obligated as a dad to make that joke.
No doubt.
So then you guys dropped me off at LAX, and just so happens, of course, there are tons of Indiana fans flying out of LAX as well. And my first flight home, I had a layover in Houston. The first one out, it was straight shot, and I had a layover in Houston. And so I'm going through the airport at Houston, and they've got like 9 gates all together. And I get there and I sit down. I find there's Birmingham. Gate 26 or whatever, gate 27, Indianapolis. So like me and like 2 other Alabama fans are just sitting amongst the and you've got some who are apologetic, like it's going to be all right. Keep your head up, and then some act like I think Alabama, and I guess to some people, Alabama doesn't ever lose. And so it's like they don't think that we know how to lose. And I'm like, look at this gray in my beard, man. I've been a Bama fan before Saban. I'll be a Bama fan after. I just flew out to the Rose Bowl. No,
that bus was pretty full of Indiana fans too. On our way back to Dodger.
And they were all, for the most part, I didn't have bad experiences with any Indiana fans in the least. They're on the moon, and rightfully so. Excited. I'm actually kind of jealous. I remember when we were kind of on our way up, and I guess Alabama, we were born into kind of an expectation to win, but I do remember the climb of 09 and 92 was, I still had my 92 shirt on for the Rose Bowl game. So,
well, but after 92, we went through a long spell of bad football. And so, we've been there, and it was cool to see a lot of the Indiana fans that were just like overwhelmed with joy to be there. They've not been there, at this point of, having a chance to win a national title, be in the playoffs. I think they said Cignetti has a quarter of their, postseason wins or bowl season wins already. Just in the 2 that he's won, or 3, I guess, if last year counts. But
I think we can all say we're thankful that it's not Notre Dame. So,
well, yeah. And so, I think it's a really cool thing for them. But we were talking about too, there's not, we didn't have any bad experiences with any of them. The only one was the guy with the scarf coming down the aisle, and he's mad at somebody else, and they're drawing, and somebody says, "Hey, shut up! You got a scarf on." So that was as bad as it got, really. They were pumped and excited, but they weren't rude about it. So
in fact, the worst fan I saw the whole time was us walking out of the gate to leave. And I turned to my left, and there's a Power tee. There's an orange hoodie with a white Power tee.
I'm glad you had to see it.
Of course. Throw in the fact that I'm a Ravens fan, and we lost on a missed field goal last night.
You've had a brutal weekend.
It's been the bumps in, but hey, the Crimson Tide beat Kentucky for the fourth straight time in bouncy ball. So I'm taking that. I'm taking it. So the ride home, I know at that point, you've taken a shellacking.
It was sleep. It was sleepy time.
Yeah. I think what was interesting is the one thing that I guess Ben and Justin, I guess Andrew too, had all said is I've never eaten at In-N-Out. And so I was like, well, all right, well, on the way back, we're eating at an In-N-Out burger. Well, we pull into the first one, and I bet there's 120 cars in the drive-thru. And so it's like, we're just going to keep on going. So we pull up to another one, and it's packed. But it wasn't as packed as what that one was. And I remember we ate it, and Ben goes, I don't know if this place is good or if I'm just that hungry. But that was a pretty good experience.
Yeah. And wouldn't you know it, there were Indiana fans in there. When we went there, so.
And we were like probably an hour and a half outside of Los Angeles by that point. If not maybe a little bit more. So the drive home, I thought went pretty smooth. We definitely didn't stop. We stopped one time for 20 minutes at Panda Express after the In-N-Out, but we ate it to go as well. So we sat down for 20 minutes and we were back at it, trying to get Andrew back to work.
We did get to go to Santa Monica Boulevard or whatever out there, and a guy in a Chicago sweatshirt said, "Hey, you guys wasted your time coming out here." And I guess he was right as far as the game was concerned. But
it wasn't a waste though.
I was very happy to get out there. We went to Chick-fil-A. Hey, God's Chicken out in Los Angeles.
Even out in Los Angeles.
And then y'all had a connection with the team, and we knew when the buses were going to pull out. And I didn't think we were going to that. Like, we had drove around, saw Kobe's statue, the arena the Lakers play in, and the next thing I know, we're pulling into a parking lot, and I look up, and it's the hotel. We step out. There goes the buses. Ben almost drowns in a Los Angeles pothole. And it just seemed like things really worked out well. I know we had the parking debacle. Somebody at the Rose Bowl next year put up a sign that says you need a pass to park. That would be
please. Helpful. That would be great.
Where you sit, I think it was an hour in line, and then you get to the gate and they're like, you don't have a pass. Well, no one said we needed a pass, homie.
Well, what's so bad is I'd seen that and we had talked about that. But then when we got to the first director, cop, whatever that was standing up there, he says, the shuttle's down that way. Like, go down there and there's a place you can park and get a shuttle. And so, Will said, okay, well, this will work out then. So we assume there's a place to park. Yeah. There's no shuttle down there. You have to park and walk all over the golf course just to get to the stadium. So I don't know what that guy was thinking about, or maybe like everybody else in Los Angeles may have been smoking something. But it was just, it was like you said, it just wasn't really well done, but it was, just
shout out to you, Bryant Denny, volunteer workers or whoever that is. You guys have got it down to an art, baby.
It's very quick.
I wonder if a lot of those volunteers are UCLA volunteers. Yeah. That were, because like the same thing when Lindsay and I and Blake and Reagan went to Cal 2 years ago and watched Cal and Auburn, there's just nobody there. Yeah. We paid $40 and sat 20 rows up, and it's just out West. I would assume that NFL, NBA, you've got so much going on that competes with college football, that college football is probably not the most prominent thing. And I just wonder if some of those volunteers go, I don't even have a clue. This is an insane amount of people that are showing up. and they're all football people.
Yeah.
And it's like everybody's just rushing to get places and they don't even know how to handle it. And I wonder too, thinking back on it, with the rain, I wonder if that limited how many people could park at the golf course.
Oh yeah.
It was. Somebody said that usually the golf course has a little bit more parking at it. And so that was why it filled up. They wouldn't let you park on the course. So apparently usually it's dry enough you can just pull up on it and it doesn't hurt anything. So I heard that. Yeah.
3 days of rain in Southern California and we hit all 3 of them.
Yeah, we got them all. Well, and I think it's really cool. You mentioned we had a connection and kind of a shout out here, but Griffin Hansen played for Mars Hill Bible School, and that's probably the first ever Mars Hill Bible School football grad who ever played in the Rose Bowl. So I think that's a pretty cool shout out. He was on the team. I'm not sure, how much. I know he got some field time this year throughout the year, but he was there on the football team, on the squad at the Rose Bowl. So super cool. Got to see his mom. That was who we texted about the buses, and then saw them as we were getting ready to leave the stadium. And they were pretty disappointed, obviously, in the loss, but super pumped to have been there. And I said, I bet he got some really good box of swag. And she said, yeah, it was pretty.
There might be somebody out there willing to purchase it off of him if he decided to part ways with it. In fact, I know there'd be somebody. That somebody might be my name, might be me, but
maybe a bunch of somebodies.
Hey, I appreciate it, guys. I appreciate you pushing us to go, Will. I'm glad. It was probably dead in the water, honestly. Lindsay can't be too upset. And she reached out to us, was like, hey, how real is this? And I was like, hey, it's as real as you want it to be real. But man, it's exciting. I know I wish the game had gone a little bit better, but it's kind of like one of those things where at least it was kind of out of hand so we could just enjoy the atmosphere. Had it been close, which we would all prefer that, and then lost, that would have been probably a little harder, but we were able to wrap our minds around the fact that we're not winning the football game pretty early on.
Pretty quickly.
In the game. But hope everybody had a good time that went. Thanks for listening. Thank you guys for doing what you do all the time. And man, what a great thing. And I'm sure it'll only grow in its lore. We didn't even mention the hotel room where at one point we had kind of a Maywood bump, double decker situation going on, bunk bed situation going on there. But we all ended up sleeping. I had so much rest because I flew out there. I was up quite a bit earlier than you guys, and I was not going to ruin that for y'all, if at all possible, especially for a rainy parade.
It was good times.
Yeah.
Y'all have a good one. Talk at you again soon.
Thanks for being with us for this episode of the Helping Healing Humor podcast. Be sure to download our free ebook, 28 Days of Focused Living, at benandtravis.com and receive all of our Helping Healing and Humor extra content directly in your inbox. We look forward to having you join us at the same Ben and Travis time, same Ben and Travis channel.